Imagine waking up one morning, and the stars and stripes flying over your state are replaced by the red maple leaf. It sounds impossible, but what if, under a second term of Donald Trump, 10 US states actually seriously considered breaking away and joining Canada? Today we dive into the dramatic scenarios, the political tremors, the legal nightmares, and the 2025 updates you won't hear anywhere else. Stay with me. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because the truth behind America's next big crisis might be closer than you think. We're in 2025. President Trump is back in office and has revived bold, controversial talk about the US-Canada boundary, tariffs, and even union and separation scenarios. For example, 6 US states invited Canadian provincial leaders to discuss Trump's tariffs in May 2025. A 2025 poll found 51% of Americans and 43% of Canadians opposed 3 West Coast states joining Canada. In short, the idea may seem wild, but it's not dormant. Could a US state just leave and join Canada? Practically speaking, no, there's no clear legal pathway. As one Reddit comment puts it, no, not legally by any means, and not without a literal war that Canada would want no part of. Still, the fact that the constitutional architecture of the US allows for acquisition of territories means the reverse isn't entirely dismissed by analysts. All of this sets the stage. While feasibility is near zero, the emotional, political, and cultural forces are heating up. Here are 10 US states that could, in our scenario, contemplate breaking away and joining Canada, not because it's likely, but because under extreme second-term Trump conditions, the triggers could be there. I'll list them and the rationale briefly. Number 1. New York. In fact, a New York State senator floated the idea that New York, and neighbors, could join Canada in response to Trump's return. Number 2. Vermont. Small population, strong progressive identity, proximity to Canada. Number 3. Massachusetts. Intellectual, liberal, with strong ties to internationalism, a state that might feel at odds under Trump's agenda. Number 4. Connecticut. Similar profile to Massachusetts, would feel cultural and political alienation. Number 5. Washington, state, on the West Coast. The poll mentioned above targeted California, Oregon, Washington as potential, join Canada, states. Number 6. Oregon. Same West Coast reasoning, environmental policy clashes, cultural divergence. Number 7. California. Big, powerful, progressive, leaving the US and joining Canada is extremely unrealistic, but as a thought scenario it has the tension. Number 8. Maine. Real border state with Canada, trade ties, and a distinct identity that could feel squeezed. Number 9. Minnesota. Border state with Canada, plus differing politics from much of the US in a Trump second-term world. Number 10. Michigan. Also border state with Canada, industrial decline, may be willing to explore radical options if federal policy becomes harsh. What would be the triggers? Harsh federal policies, massive tariffs, withdrawal of funding, nationalization of programs. Cultural alienation. States feeling their identity, values, and economy are being undermined. Economic stress and trade ties. States with strong Canadian trade integration could view Canada as a viable alternative. Border geography. States sharing land border with Canada have a symbolic and logistical point of contact. Political leadership. If governors or state legislatures take bold stances, even as hypotheticals. Why Canada would be reluctant? While the narrative is about states joining Canada, Canada is firmly opposed to being absorbed or massively changing its identity. Polls show Canadians overwhelmingly reject becoming part of the US or similar shifts. And Canada's leadership has publicly rejected extreme propositions. As mentioned, 6 US governors invited Canadian provincial leaders to talk in May 2025, signaling strain in US-Canada trade ties under Trump's second term. Polling in January 2025 found only 20 to 22% Canadians would entertain becoming the 51st U.S. state, meaning the reverse scenario, U.S. states joining Canada, remains even less plausible. The joining Canada idea remains mostly theoretical. Mentions in media have increased, especially on the West Coast states and in liberal enclaves. Even if none of these scenarios occur, the mere possibility signals deeper fractures in American federalism, state-federal relations, border identity, trade policy, and global dynamics. For citizens in the listed states, or with ties to Canada, this could translate into real estate and migration questions. Should I move? Trade and job risks, cultural identity tensions, a wake-up call that what once seemed fringe could become mainstream. Yes, the idea of U.S. states seceding and joining Canada is extremely unlikely. But under the volatility of a second term of Donald Trump, the cracks are visible. When states feel abandoned by federal policy, when borders and trade become battlegrounds, people start thinking the unthinkable. And that's when seismic change can begin. So keep watching the signals, question the established narratives, because history is not always made in grand moments. Sometimes it's made in the small, overlooked decisions of states and people. If you found this video eye-opening, give it a like, subscribe and share it with someone who thinks today's politics are tame, and let us know in the comments. Which state do you think might seriously consider this kind of move, and why? I'll see you in the next one.